Yo, what's up guys, Vojtech here. In today's video, 52 dangerous signs you failed puberty. Low testosterone teenager by Team 3D Alpha. Last video I saw, I was pretty impressed. Not gonna lie, like 90% facts. Maybe even more than that, so...
Hey guys, what's going on, mate?
Whoa. So, yeah, let's see the video. I think this one will be good too.
Hey guys, what's going on, Megan here. Here are 50 signs that you failed puberty.
He's so loud.
For those of you guys who don't know, you could have the best genetics in the world, but if your testosterone levels or your nitrogen status get screwed during puberty, you're not going to manifest a lot of those genes, right? So, let's say you have the genes for a nice brow raise, or you have the genes for a nice masculine face. If you do not get enough testosterone during those several years, those crucial years of puberty, right? I'm not talking about one day spike. I'm talking about constant elevation of that androgen status. Then you're not gonna manifest those genes for the simple fact that testosterone activates genes through the androgen receptor. So you could have the genes for something, but not manifest those genes if your T signaling was crushed during puberty, usually due to be honest, I don't want to say bad parents, but usually due to negligent parents who didn't feed you the right foods, who didn't make sure that you were healthy, you were doing the right habits.
By the way, what does this ranking mean? My brother in Christ, maybe in the next life, bro, low-key failed puberty and GigaChat. Oh, okay, so now it's the opposite. Alright, I get it. So so my brother in Christ is like the worst puberty, right? Alright, and GigaChat, obviously, that's me.
No, because as a teenager, most teenagers don't know this stuff, man. Most teenagers don't know about tea and all that stuff. So it's really up to the parents, But unfortunately, a lot of parents are either negligent or worse, do the opposite, right? They'll tell their kids, don't eat this, don't eat eggs, don't eat meat. They'll feed them crappy diets. And now the guy ends up super short or, not masculinized, in terms of their physical appearance. Despite having the genes for those traits. How do I know? Because I look at people's genetics all the freaking times. That's one of the things that I do. Another thing is those people, when they have kids and they feed their kids correctly, the right foods, whatever, their kids end up manifesting those genes. That's why you have some parents who are from like poor countries, and then they bring their kids to a developed country, and the kid is taller, has a masculine face, jawline, whatever. And people are like, oh, he must have got lucky. No, he has the same genes that his parents do. He's just in a better environment. And there's a lot of studies on that. You guys could look it up. I've posted a lot of them in the past. So long story short,
I never heard about it, but it might be true.
All of these signs here, right?
It's probably true.
Here's the tier list. It's very simple, right? You barely passed. Self-explanatory. Low-key failed puberty. Maybe in the next life. That's really bad, right? That's really bad. If you have this, whatever ends up here, right, then yeah, maybe in the next life you're screwed. And obviously, this is the worst one. My brother in Christ, I'm so sorry. If you end up over here, oh my goodness,
Jesus,
I feel so bad.
I wonder how many I will get. Honestly,
your parents were goated, and you have GigaChat here. All right, so let's start. All right, if you have small shoulders after puberty, that is, of course, you barely pass. You barely pass because one of the signs that your androgen status was super high during puberty is you're gonna have big shoulders, even if you don't train them during that time. So if you have small shoulders, you barely passed, right? You barely passed puberty. You didn't fail it though, right? Because a lot of other things play a role.
I don't know what do you
signaling
like. How big do they have to
so
be?
you're fine. Next, if you have a small, not huge, if you have a small brow ridge, obviously, reverse whatever those pictures show. So if you have a small brow ridge or a non-existent brow ridge,
what is it?
Right, then I'm going to put
what is
you low-key failed puberty. That's one of the main things that testosterone does. Again, this tier list is assuming normal genetics, right? Because the moment you throw genetics into the conversation, it throws off everything, right? At the end of the day, testosterone and the androgen receptor activate genes. So
I don't even know how to
first, testosterone second. So assuming you have normal genes, and clearly assuming you have the genes for the brow ridge, and it's not pronounced, right, then you low-key failed puberty. And keep in mind, when I say you failed puberty, it's not zeros and ones, right? It's not like you failed or you passed, right? I'm simplifying. It's a spectrum. Some people will have signs that they failed puberty, and they have some other signs that they pass, right? So it's a spectrum. It depends on how many of those boxes you check. right? Some people
Yes.
have some of these, some people don't have the other ones, right? And some have all of them, right? And they're gonna end up in GigaChat, right? So it's a spectrum. All right. Next, if you have canines, most people don't know this, but
What?
testosterone increases canine. It's another reason why men have bigger canines than women. So
Thief?
if you have
Is it
small
thief?
canines, right, you low key
What
fail
is
puberty.
K9?
If you have
Is the
small
dog?
canines, you low key fail puberty. Again, when I say
Small cane. Oh, is it like oh, it's like thief, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or I was thinking like thief because of the arrows, and then like what? Like it's a dog, right? But yeah, I guess it's thief, but I don't know which one. The fourth, the fifth, I don't know.
small, it's all
But I
relative to
guess
your
I
stature, right?
passed.
Relative to your height. Next, if you don't have a lot of chest hair, if you don't have a
Mm.
lot of chest hair after puberty, sorry,
Hey,
you low key failed puberty.
actually, I don't have that much, I don't have even one fourth of this guy, but honestly, guys, I know it's a sign of like not a good thing, but honestly, I enjoy it. Not gonna lie, I mean, having a chest hair is the most annoying thing you can get. Like, it's the most annoying hair. Like, I mean, I get the hair on the armpits and all that good stuff, other stuff. But chest, I don't know. To me, it's just cringe. I honestly like it that I don't have that much, but I got some. Not gonna lie.
Again, assuming normal genetics, right? That's mainly driven by testosterone and obviously DHT, which is obviously the more powerful androgen. So, huge sign of good DHT signaling. Next, if you have small feet, if you have tiny feet,
Um,
you low key failed puberty.
mm,
Next, if you have tiny hands.
I
By the way, you guys
succeeded.
could look all this up. I already posted the studies and other videos on the topic, so you could look this up. If you
I
don't believe
actually
me.
got big
If you have
hands
small hands, low
and a
key failed
big.
puberty. Again, small hands relative to your height, that is. If you have
Ooh.
tiny testicles, woof, if you have
Oh
tiny
no.
testicles, you low key failed puberty.
Good,
That's
good,
one of
good.
the things
So
that happens
far,
with puberty is your balls
apart from
drastically
the
increase in
chest
size
hair
for obvious reasons.
and the thing I don't
Next,
understand.
if you have low bone density, poor bone density, right?
Hmm,
You
that I
low key
don't
failed
know.
puberty, right? You gotta have dense bones. That's mainly driven by testosterone and obviously estradiol as well. They both have a role to play. So if you have brittle bones after puberty, you low key failed. Next, if you do not have a crazy well developed jawline, not this extreme, right? Obviously, I picked the most extreme picture so you guys could get the point. But if you do not have a masculine jawline, yep, you low key failed puberty. That's one of the things that testosterone does. It increases the size of your mandible, giving you that jawline. Not as crazy as this motherfucker, right? But you know, next, if you do not have a deep voice, you low key felt puberty. Now, of
Mm,
course, there's
well,
some exceptions, right? Mike
I
Tyson,
got
Ronnie Coleman, whatever,
like
but they still have deeper voices than
mid
most
to
women,
high,
right?
I
So don't
guess.
get it twisted. So if you have a high pitched ass voice, right? Barring outliers, not counting outliers, you low key felt puberty,
Yeah,
right?
I
Mainly
guess a
because
little bit.
testosterone
But
increases
my jawline is
the size of
fine.
your larynx and all that stuff.
It's alright.
Next, if you do not have big eyebrows, right? I'm gonna put you barely pass, right? Because even
Well,
though testosterone plays a role in that as well.
guys, I mean, now the situation, as I told you in the previous videos, I got donated some money, so I actually don't have any eyebrows, but you know, when they grow back, they will be strong AF indeed. You can trust me, bro. All right, it's
Right? It's
no
more
problem
influenced
for me.
by other factors than testosterone, right? Testosterone does play a role, but not a significant role like the other ones here. Next, if let's see, if you do not have a lot of muscle mass after puberty, right? You barely pass. You barely pass. I'm not gonna put it
I
higher
got
because
some, but it's
maybe you
because I
had a
got go
low
to the
protein
gym.
diet, right? Maybe you had normal T signaling but not enough protein, or maybe you had
Not
uh, you know
naturally,
um,
I think.
poor
My genes
polymorphisms
aren't
in
that
your all
great
the genes
for
involving muscle mass, so IGF-1
muscle mass.
receptor, follistatin, blah 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 blah. So you barely pass, right? Because you could still pass puberty and not have a lot of muscle, right? Next, if you do not have huge traps after puberty, you fine, man. You fine. You pass, right? That's not, even though that's obviously driven
Oh,
by testosterone and the androgen
do really
receptor
people get that?
in
I
the
don't
minor
know.
nuclei around this region.
Mm,
You could still pass puberty and have puny traps. Next, if you have
interesting.
a weak grip strength after puberty, and keep in mind, this is after puberty. This is not when you're 30, 40, 50 years old. This is mainly after puberty, right? So this is your late teens, early 20.
Mm,
You low key felt puberty because your grip strength should blow the fuck up during puberty, even if you don't train it.
really?
Watch my videos for more detail.
Hmm. I
A
should
lot of
measure
people got hand
it.
grip strength. Next, if you hair loss, yeah. So if you have hair loss after puberty,
Oh,
right? You fine, guys. You fine. You fine. You fine,
I
right?
don't.
Because that's,
I
even though
don't
that's a
have that.
DHT
Even though it
and
doesn't
slash
look like that.
androgen receptor related trait, keep in mind, the genetic component is huge, right?
But
If you
I don't know, guys. But I heard that the people that lose hair, early, it's actually like alright sign that they are actually like manly, like manly men, you know. And I feel like it might be true. I don't know at my age, 23. I don't know that many people that already got no hair. But for example, I met this guy, 25 years old at my job, and he already got it worse than this. So
genetic
you know,
component is huge, right? So you fine. Just because you lost your hair at 18 or 19, that doesn't mean you felt puberty. If anything, you had a freak ton of, fuck ton of DHT in your scalp, that is. Next, if you have gyno at the end of puberty, right? You barely passed. The reason I'm putting that you barely passed is because, that's also due by an imbalance in your testosterone and DHT to estrogen ratio, right? So you barely pass, right? Next, if you have fat around your, like female distribution fat pattern, right? So like around your waist, around your thighs, then whew, you low key felt puberty, bro. Because again, that is mainly driven by estradiol, and during puberty, if you're a guy, testosterone signaling balances estrogen
I
signaling.
mean,
But no, we don't.
yeah, it's this one and this one. That's pretty bad. Not gonna lie, this and wow. I mean, I got like big feet, but I also got like big how do you call it? Not arms. What the hell am I thinking now? Um, yeah, I don't know. These two are just horrible. Sorry.
Versus when the reverse happens, you end up with this shape here. So if you have a lot of fat, if you store fat like a woman, so around your hips and your waist, yeah, you look your fat puberty. Next, if you do not have long arms, a long wingspan, also called the ape index, right? You low key felt puberty.
Oh,
That's one of the things that happens during puberty is testosterone makes your arms longer relative to your height. Again,
oh,
assuming normal genetics, right? Obviously, genetics play a huge role as well as ethnicity. I made a ton of videos about that.
mm,
But yeah, assuming normal genetics, if you do not have longer arms, meaning a higher ape index, higher than 1 or
mm.
0, uh, then something went wrong.
I guess I
Next,
do.
if you do not have if you have a narrow chin, a very narrow chin, then you low key failed puberty.
Mm.
Again, assuming normal genetics, right? That's another thing that testosterone does, right? Is it makes your chin, it stops your chin from having that feminine narrow chin, right? It makes it broad, right? Very similar to the jawline thing, but this one is just for your chin. Next, if you have a lot of body fat after puberty, you barely passed. I'm not gonna put that you low key fell because again, you probably just ate like shit, depending at what age you started doing it. But
Yeah.
you barely passed. You got lucky because some people don't make it through. They become so fat that their estradiol signaling goes through the roof, right? Because the body converts most of the estrogen, most of the testosterone to estrogen, and they end up failing puberty. But a lot of guys, uh, you know, make it through somehow. So you barely passed, right? Because one thing that happens in puberty is your body makes it actually very hard for you to store fat because of the constant high androgens. Next, if you not strong as hell after puberty, you fine, right? I'm gonna
Not
put this at you
strong as
passed,
hell.
right? Because of a lot of other things. It's not like grip strength, right? A lot of other things, influence this, so just technique, leverages, stuff like that. So you pass, right? Now, if your hand grip strength is low as hell, then that's a different story. Next, if you do not have a masculine 2D to 4D ratio, meaning your fourth digit, right, being longer than your second digit, if you do not have that, you barely pass. Right, you got
Oh,
lucky. And
my
I'm putting
fourth
that
is
as barely
actually
pass
a
because
little
even though
longer.
testosterone plays a role in that, it mainly
It
manifests
really
itself
is
in
longer.
the womb.
What?
Next, but the
Oh,
reason why it's up here is because it's also a sign of androgen receptor sensitivity.
pretty cool.
Next, if you do not have a lot of acne, you still pass. People think that that's mandatory. No, even though, again, this is driven by testosterone and DHT, there's a lot of other factors such as diet and, hygiene and things like that, right? So you find you don't need acne to know that you pass puberty. Next, if you do not have an Adam's apple,
Mm,
right? And again, it doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be there, right? You
just a
should be able to
little
touch
bit,
that
yeah.
bitch.
I
If you
got
do not
it.
have an Adam's apple, then you low-key failed puberty.
True.
Next, if you have a
What is it?
micro penis,
Oh.
whew, maybe in the
Hmm.
next life, bro, you definitely failed puberty. Because
uh,
again, that's one of the first things that happens with puberty
I'm
is
sorry about
your
that,
mushroom
man.
tip gets longer. So again, I'm not talking about deviations from the normal average penis size. No, I'm talking about a micro penis. That's different. This is actually a term, guys. I'm not saying this to be
Yeah,
funny.
it
It's actually
is.
a term. You can look this up in PubMed and any scientific database. Micro penis is an actual condition. Sounds funny as hell. The scientist who named it that shit is freaking evil.
Yeah.
But yes, an actual thing. I'm not talking about just a small penis. I'm talking about a micro penis. It's an actual condition. Then yeah, maybe in the next life, right? And that's mainly driven by DHT, by the way. So
But
you had super
I'm not sure, what the required length is for micro penis, but I know that basically, like, micro penis is so small that basically you can't impregnate anyone, naturally. You have to use, like, help, you know? You can't just, uh, you know, splurge it in. You can't because it's so tiny. You have to get a helping hand. Not literally, I guess.
low
You
DHT
know.
during puberty. Next, I had to blur this one out because freaking YouTube. So if you have,
Huh?
take a deep breath with me, guys.
What?
If you have a vagina, yes, I explained this in other videos. The default
Oh,
human body is
yeah.
female. I repeat, the default human body for men and women is female.
Really?
Testosterone from the SOY gene, obviously, is what masculinizes the body through the androgen
That's
receptor.
so cool though. I didn't know that the default was female. What? I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's so crazy, right?
So some men out there who are genetic male have
Yeah.
vaginas. They have
Yeah,
vaginas or ambiguous genitalia.
yeah, but it's like pretty rare, right? It's like, isn't it like 1 in 10 million? I feel like it's like 1 in 10 million, and this is obviously doesn't include like trans people, it's just a real condition.
And
My
if you have
brother in
that,
Christ, by the way.
my brother in Christ,
Yeah,
you are screwed. You 100% failed puberty. And believe it or not, this happens. This happens in people that have CAIS, complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. I feel really bad for them
that's bad. Yeah.
because their body's feminized, but inside they actually don't have a uterus, right? They have like testicles that are undescended, blah blah blah. Which brings me to
Oh,
the next one. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. If you have undescended testicles, meaning your testicles are not descended, they're still up. Yeah,
ah,
my brother in Christ, you felt
yeah,
puberty.
yeah,
You felt
yeah.
puberty.
True, true.
And yes, some people have that. Guys, you should be lucky. People complain about their genetics. You should be lucky you don't have a lot of those conditions. There are men out there who have undescended testicles. It's still in the abdomen,
Mm,
because of poor androgen signaling. Not enough T, not enough
wow.
DHT, or, not enough androgen receptors or poor androgen
About
receptors
this
sensitivity.
one, I actually didn't know. The
Next,
third one,
if you
yeah.
do not have body odor, you fine, you pass. Yes, testosterone increases body odor, but again, it's not mandatory,
I
right? And it's,
smell a
it's, it's on a
lot.
huge spectrum. Next, if you, what's this one? Oh yeah, facial width to height ratio, right? So meaning how wide your face is compared to how
Mm,
long your face is. What androgens do, testosterone and DHT, is they give you a higher facial width to height ratio, meaning it makes your face wider compared to your height. So if you do not have that, you barely passed. You barely passed. It's not gonna go higher. It's gonna go in this category here. So you got lucky. You barely passed puberty. Next, if you are super short, I'm gonna put this at you barely passed. The reason why I'm not gonna put it at you failed puberty, again, most people don't know this, but testosterone increases height through growth hormone signaling, of course.
Nice.
The reason I'm not putting higher is because you could pass puberty and still be short if you had like a low protein diet, or your health was not great, your parents didn't give you a great environment. You could still end up short and have high T. So that's why it's not high. But you barely pass, because one of the number one signs of an increase in testosterone and DHT during puberty is crazy growth spurt. Again, through growth hormone signaling. It blows my mind as to when people don't know that testosterone affects height. It's like, what? Just use common sense. You don't even have to know the studies. Just use common sense. True. But anyway, next, if you do not have crazy hops, crazy jumping ability, right? You're fine. You passed, right? Because a lot of things, even though testosterone plays a role in jumping ability, by increasing neuromuscular efficiency and power and speed and all that stuff, it's also determined. It's also determined by a lot of other things. So you're fine. There's a lot of guys out there with super high T who can't jump for shit. Next, if you are skinny fat, you barely passed. If at the end of puberty you are still skinny fat, you barely passed. Right? You barely passed puberty. Next, if you do not have sperm, yes, there are men out there who literally cannot produce sperm. Maybe in the next life, bro. Maybe in the next life, you failed puberty. Because again, that's the time in your life when this gets produced.
Yeah.
Next, if you're ugly as shit, you pass. You fine. Testosterone does not affect, how attractive your face is. Obviously, it affects your jawline and all these other features. But you could have high T and be ugly as sin. Next, if you do not have wide clavicles, right? You barely.
I don't know what that is. Oh, it's like a chest above chest. But man, look at this. It's like a German flag, right? Look at it, German flag.
Right, and the reason why I'm putting it here is because obviously it has a huge genetic component. But even with all else equal, assuming normal genetics, during puberty, testosterone increases how wide your clavicles are. So if you have narrow clavicles, you barely pass. Right? You didn't fail, right? Because of the huge genetic component as well. Next, if you do not have a prostate, right? If you have a small prostate or you don't have one at all, right? It's really tiny. Maybe in the next life, you got screwed during puberty.
I don't know.
Next.
I guess it's fun. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Pubic hair, right? I actually swapped those out. So if you do not have pubic hair, you low-key failed puberty. Yeah. If you do not have pubic hair, you low-key failed puberty. See, I have to blur so much out. I hate how YouTube is so sensitive. I have to blur so much stuff that sometimes I can't even tell what's what. But yeah, if you do not have pubic hair, you low-key failed puberty.
People really don't have any? How is that even possible, man?
The hell is this one?
Even before puberty, I had some.
All right, I'll come back to that. Next, if you have wide hips, you low-key failed puberty. Now,
Yeah,
of course,
I failed.
as always, there's a genetic component as well. But if you do not have wide hips, if you have wide hips, like a woman, that hourglass shape, you low-key failed puberty.
Yeah, I actually, my figure isn't like bad. I'm a little muscular because I go to the gym, but my body, I feel like, it is really like just a little bit glass hour, indeed, right? And maybe the fat is stored like in the buttocks, or how you call it. I don't know. So that's a bad thing.
Next, if you do not have oily skin, I put Ashley Larry here, but if you do not have oily skin, right, you barely passed, right? Because it's one thing testosterone does is it obviously, in fact, that's one of the reasons why some during puberty, some people get acne, right? Because testosterone increases sebum production, blah, blah, blah. Again, mainly through DHT, all that stuff. So next, we have breasts, right? If you have breasts, maybe in the next life, Okay.
Yeah,
Again, like I
fair.
explained earlier, the default human body is female. Testosterone is what stops the female body from manifesting itself, as well as other things, doing fetal development. I think I made a deeper video on this. But some men have breasts. I'm not talking about gyno, I'm talking about actual breast. Then yeah, maybe in the next life. Next, if you have a complete female body, like literally a female body, meaning you have breast, you have the hips, you have the whole package, right? Waist,
Oh, can that really
vagina,
happen?
complete androgen, CAIS. I
Wow.
always get screwed
That
pronouncing
must
that.
be so
Complete
rare.
androgen.
That might be, honestly, that might be like 1 in billion. Like, how many? There are like 8 billion people, let's say. That must be like 1 in billion, honestly. I mean, imagine like a real man, not like, the trend that's happening right now. Like, real man having female body. Wow. Wow. That's so
It's
crazy.
sensitivity syndrome. Try saying that fast, guys. That's why I just said CAIS. Yeah, my brother in Christ, you are screwed. And yes, these are men in this picture. These are not women. These are men.
Wow.
And no, they're not transgendered, whatever. This is an actual condition. Again, I made several posts and videos about that. They are men. The only issue is the androgen receptors are not working. So they have high testosterone, high DHT, but it can't do anything because it can't activate the androgen receptor.
Wow.
Next, if you have a lot of autoimmune diseases, a lot of people don't know this, but the reason why women have more autoimmune diseases than men is because of high estrogen to testosterone ratio. So if you have a
Huh?
lot of autoimmune diseases, especially the ones that are most common in women, then you barely passed. That's one advantage that testosterone gives men is because it has suppressing effects on the immune system. We don't have as many autoimmune. We have some because testosterone does both things, right? It suppresses parts of the immune system and it also upregulates parts of the immune system. But the net effect is a suppression of the immune system. So that's the reason why women have a lot of autoimmune, poor souls. Next, if you do not have a big nose, okay, you barely passed. A lot of people don't know this, but testosterone increases the size and the shape of your nose. Next, trying to remember what the hell this one is. This is why. Oh yeah, I think this one is waist to. This one is waist to height search. Wait, did I do waist to? Oh God, let's see.
No, no,
This is
no.
what happens when you
It
just
will be
go a
it.
cappella and don't have a script. You forget shit. Guys, what do you think? Did I do waist to height ratio? No. Okay, good. So if you have a poor waist to height ratio, meaning your waist is too large compared to your height, then and then this is at the end of puberty, then you low key failed puberty. Right? Again, this is your waist to height ratio. It's a great predictor of testosterone too, by the way. Next, if you do not sweat a lot, you barely pass.
Swell?
Yes, believe it or not, testosterone increases sweat production
Oh,
drastically, by the way.
sweat.
And it also happens during puberty. But you
Understandable.
find because again, this is assuming normal temperature, normal hydration, whatever. Next, if you are not fast, you find right testosterone increases power and speed. But like I said earlier, it's just like the jumping thing, right? A lot of other factors play a role relative to the contribution that testosterone has. Next, if you have a small penis, I'm not talking about micro penis. If you just have a small penis, right? You low key failed puberty. Yep, testosterone increases the size of your penis. To be specific, it's DHT. They both play a role, but it's mainly DHT. But again, keep in mind there's also genetic variations, like in all of those things. Next, if you do not have thick skin, I'm not talking about thick skin like mentally, hey, I'm tough, bro. I'm talking about actual thick skin, nigga, like actual thick skin.
Mm.
You barely pass because testosterone plays a huge role in making men's skin actually thicker than women.
Oh, no, no.
Next,
I guess.
if you have weak erections after puberty, you still have weak erections, or God forbid you can't even get an erection, or you
I'm
low key felt
sorry.
puberty, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Next, if you have a female face,
Honestly, maybe
back
in
to
the next
CIS. By the way, these
life.
are men, just like up here. These are men, not women. These are men who
Oh,
cannot respond to testosterone. They have normal
oh,
testosterone levels.
that's.
They cannot respond to it because they.
Honestly, guys, I mean, I know it's bad to say, but, you know, like, being such a being, that's, sounds pretty scary, not gonna lie. Because you are like a man, but you got the women's body. Like, you can't really relate to women and even men, right? Like honestly, if that was me, I don't know how I would cope with it. Not gonna lie. Sounds
Have
scary.
mutations on the androgen receptors. So if you have literally the face of a woman, then yeah, my brother in Christ, good luck, man. You screwed. You screwed. Because even if somebody injects you with testosterone, you can't respond to it, right? By the way, if you're wondering what doctors do to people who fail puberty, they inject them with testosterone. Remember, I told you guys, some people I believe should be enhanced. That's one example. People that fail puberty, you can't blame them, right? It was their parents' fault, or if they have genetic situations or whatever, right? You got to put them to puberty. And what doctors will do is they will inject them with, believe it or not, they will inject them with Anavar, they inject them with DHT derivatives, testosterone to get
That's
them caught up.
interesting.
I feel bad for those folks, man.
Hmm.
Next, if you do not have longer legs, you low key failed puberty. That's one effect
Yeah.
that testosterone has during puberty. It makes your legs longer relative to your height, to your torso, of course. And last but not least, if you do not have morning wood even after puberty, right? I'm gonna put this at you barely pass, mainly because it could be due to like nitric oxide issues or your diet or stuff like that.
I just want to say that these two were pretty useless. Your parents were goated and giga shit. I mean, we didn't use them, but hey,
All right. So hopefully this clears things out and lets you know whether you felt puberty or not. But remember, guys, it's not the end of the world. There are things that you could do if you felt puberty to get caught.
true. Anyways, 52 danger signs you feel puberty, low testosterone teenager. Yeah, I said a lot. Team 3D Alpha, check it out. You know, the other video, hmm, I mean, yeah, this video was fine. You know, it was good. The other video was basically the same concept but different topic. It was a little more interesting, but this one, I mean, it's alright. I mean, it's not that interesting to me anymore because, I'm in my young 20s, so, you know, I'm not really a teenager anymore, so it doesn't interest me that much. But yeah, good video, check it out in the description, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.